You know, today is another great day. It's a day of salvation. It's a day of rejoicing, and it's just a day of general what's up. So, anyways, we're going to talk today a little bit about prayer. And one of the things I love about prayer is that God Himself gave us all kinds of different names about Himself. You know, He gave Himself about 1,000 different names that are represented in the Bible about who He is. And every time that He reveals more and more of Himself to us, it gives us a greater understanding of what we need to know about God. And if we use those names that God has given us, they can also help us as we pray. And so I love praying the names of God. They're just wonderful. And today I want to talk a little bit about a story. I want to talk about a story that represents a new name of God, which we're going to talk about, which is Jehovah Nissi, which means the Lord my banner. And you see, it takes place in the Bible in biblical times, right? You know, we always got to go back to biblical times when we're looking at the names of God originally. And you know, there's a story that's happening where Joshua and his men are going forth and they're fighting against Amalek. And what happens in this particular story is that you see Moses, and it says that he went up with Aaron and Hur onto the side of the mountain, or at the side of the hill, and they overlooked the fighting that was going on. And as Moses had this rod in his hand, and as he lifted it up towards heaven, it says that the children of Israel prevailed in that battle. And it says that as his hands became weary and he let them down, that the children of Amalek, they proceeded, and they were the ones who were prevailing against the children of Israel. So what eventually ended up happening is that they sat him on a stone, and then Aaron and Hur both held one of his hands, but they just stood by the side, and Moses was able to keep his hands up that day as a banner, right, that day. And what ended up happening was the children of Israel obviously annihilated their enemies. But what I love about this particular story is that it represents a whole lot more than what we just get this revelation of what took place in this battle. You see, I prayed the names of, Jehovah Nissi, many times over my life, but it wasn't until more recently that I got a better understanding of that. You see, banners are something that, represent, even like champions of old. You see them in hockey arenas and everywhere, they'll see like a banner, right? And, they're there as a remembrance element, right? But on a battlefield, they represent something, and we often see them as like flag bearers and different things. And so what would happen is as people would go into battle, you would see that as they went into battle, they'd have these flags that would go forth. And the flags were there representing the colors, the nationalities, all the different things that were attached to the honor of that particular group that was going into war. And so they really had great significance. And so I was watching, a movie the other day, it was with Mel Gibson. I love the epic movies. And so this was one that was called The Patriot. And towards the end of this movie, there's this big epic battle that's going on, and the flag bearer, they're supposed to hold this line as the enemy's advancing, and all of a sudden, the flag bearer goes down, and all of a sudden there's this chaos and smoke all over the battlefield, and all of a sudden Mel Gibson realizes it, and he runs in and he grabs this flag that was on the ground, and he picks it up, and the next thing you know, he's waving it side to side, and he's screaming like a madman, and he's basically saying, advance, hold the line, we're gonna take this. And next thing you know, all the other people on the battlefield who are retreating at this point, they look up, and all of a sudden this hope rises up on the inside, and they start advancing and surging, and this passion arises, and the next thing you know, the battle's all over. I mean, I was sitting on my side of the couch. I'm like, all right, come on, I want to get in this fight myself, right? Because that banner, it acted as a rallying point. And I think that's part of what Jehovah Nissi does, is it's a rallying point. It's a beacon of hope, right? When you looked at other examples of where, God lifted up a banner, right? He lifted up, the snake when the children of Israel, he lifted up the bronze serpent, which is now where we have the symbol of medicine, right? In this world, it says that the children of Israel, when they looked upon the bronze serpent, they were made whole after they were bitten by these snakes. And that was even a foreshadowing, a greater representation of what was going to happen with Jesus when he came himself and was high and lifted up on that cross, which became another banner. You see, every time that there's a fight and there's a battle that goes on, there's smoke on the battlefield, it's chaotic, it's loud, it's noisy, but we can look up and we can see God and know that that banner is ahead of us. It gives us focus, it gives us clarity, and is an element that gives us a representation of truth. When you don't know when you're confused, when you're in disbelief, when you don't know what's happening, you can look and know that it is a firm foundation. It is a banner of righteousness. It's a banner of truth. And you can always look at it and know that God is sitting there. He is above the battlefield. He's above the smoke. He's above the noise. He's above the chaos. And when we look up and see Jesus, it's a rallying point. He's a rallying point to the troops. And the troops are getting rallied this day. They're rising up. The sleeping giants are coming out of the woodwork. And God is bringing about a people who want to pray. And I'm telling you, it's something that's important in these last days. And I just want you to be encouraged to know that Jehovah Nissi is the Lord your banner, and he is a rallying point. He's a point of focus. He's a point of truth, and he is the one who's going to see us through each and every day. So I want you to be blessed and have a great day.